back in with a evening message. And what I want to talk to you about today is don't fall for the bait. Not in this season. You are in your Esther moment. You cannot fall for the bait in this season. And let me back up, y'all. Again, my name is Latricia. I'm a nonprofit owner, as well as a mentor, a life coach, and my description and everything will be below. So please, if you feel led, tap in. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe in this season. Right now, we're at a pivotal point in our life, and I just want us to get ready for it. So let's just take a moment of silence. This is not just a pause. It's not just to take a breath, but it is to listen in this season. Because in your reverence in this season, it's pivotal. Oh, because of where you're standing right now. It is pivotal for you to understand why not to fall for the bait in this season. You got to understand everything you've been through is not because it was on delay. No, baby. This was divine strategy in this season. Oh, this was your divine strategy in this season. It's sacred. This is a sacred moment that you're walking into. And the enemy knows it. Today, all day, our weather in Minnesota, it's been up and down. It's been raining, storming, dark clouds, and then it get real bright, sunny, shining, hot. It's going back, dark, cloudy. It's confusion that's kicking up in this season. So God said, don't let this confuse you. No. He said, right now, what you're stepping in is called divine calculation. Ooh. So this is a calculated move. Mm. This is the moment right now where God is saying, let me think about it. Not because he doesn't know what to do, but because he's letting you choose your path right now. He said, and don't think you're stuck, because no, you're not stuck, because you are in position. He said, and you're not lost, because you are in alignment with him. Oh, he said, and in right now. And he said, give him some backdrop. So right now, what I'm talking about is in Esther. I'm going to be talking about Esther chapter 7 and 8 today. And a little bit about Esther is that she was a Jewish queen, right? And she was in the Persian palace. And within that palace, she had to make a decision, oftentimes, like we have to do. But let me give you a little. She had to make a decision to save herself and her people or to lose it all. He said, right now, the moment that you're standing in is so pivotal that either you're going to help save this nation, oh, or you could risk losing it all. Mm, mm. He said, in light, Esther, when she got into her moment, she prayed, she fasted, but most of all, she understood to wait. And when God gave her her moment, she took it. Mm. So one of the things you got to understand with Queen Esther, she went from hiding, being quiet, and unsure of herself to a woman who had a chance to walk in her purpose. And most of all, to walk in her purpose with power. Mm. She prepared a table, not only for the king, but for her enemy. He said, in this season, you got to understand you are preparing not only the table for the king, oh, but for the enemy. Jesus said, you better remember what he showed us. He said, because of his disciples, he said, even though he had them all sit around the table, he said he always left a spot for Judas. He said, so it is pivotal for you to know what's sitting at your table. He said, so don't fall for the bait in this season. He said, because she prepared a table for the king and her enemy, Haman. His name was Haman. This wasn't just a dinner. He said, most people look at it as he said, this wasn't just a dinner. This was the moment of divine exposure. He said, this is what you're stepping into, divine exposure. And a little bit of backdrop about chapter 7, right? So the second day when they had the banquet, because so they end up having a feast, right? And part of this was the second day of this while they're in the palace. And one of the things that Esther knew was how to seize her moment. So when King Xerxes and Haman, which was the enemy disguised as a trusted person, he said, when you get somebody that's in your life that's just disguised as a trusted person, he said, you got to understand how to watch them, but also how to know how to move and understand that their character. He said, because Esther made a move. She exposed Haman. And I want to tell you exactly how she exposed him, y'all. And in Esther 7, verse 3, it says, then Queen Esther answered, if I have found favor with you, your majesty, and if it is pleased you, grant me my life. This is my petition, and spare my people. This is my request. For I and my people have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. If we had miserably been sold as male and female slaves, I would have kept quiet. But no such distress would justify disturbing the king. King Xerxes asked Queen Esther, who is he and where is he? The man who has dared to do such a thing. Esther said, an advisory, an enemy, this villain Haman. Then Haman was terrified before the king and queen. The king got up in a rage, left his wine, and went out into the palace garden. Oh, he said, right now, when you starting to expose the enemy that's in the camp, he said, you're going to have to sit back and let it unfold. He said, because what looks like defeat, oh, it's going to turn into deliverance. And he said, what Haman built for Mordecai became the very place of his downfall. He said, in this season, all the pits they were trying to throw at you, he said, baby, they falling into them themselves. He said, when they try to deceive you and distract you and ridicule you, he said, baby, they dug their own ditches in this season. He said, so this moment is not just about the boldness that you had to take. He said, this was about your timing, about the wisdom that was implanted into you and your discernment to know when to pivot and move. He said, this is why he's calling this a sacred moment. Because you were able to discern his voice. You were able to hear it. The timing that you had to take in order to seize your moment. He said you had to take it. He said, and right now what's sitting at your table is the truth coming out. And just as Esther spoke and the enemy plan collapsed, he said, you got to know yours is too. He said, what was meant to destroy her and her people is reversed. He said, the things that they try to throw at you to destroy you, to silence you, to make sure you still felt unseen, unheard. He said, baby, he had to reverse that. He said, when they was in there trying to taint you, God said every time they was tainting, he was reversing, he was re-strategizing, he was realigning. He said, and when the moment came, he told you, baby, speak. And he said, do it boldly. He said, and put that confidence I gave you right up in there. Because God said one thing he knows is you going to feel him. He said, this is so important because you're standing right now before a decision, just like Esther was. He said, right now you're looking at two doors. Oh, two paths. He said, one look shiny, don't it? He said, but baby, that could be hollow. He said, and you're looking over here at this path and you're like, God, this is so risky. He said, I know, but it's right. He said, it's right. Take this one. He said, so be careful in this season. He said, be careful. This is where the enemy lays the bait. I said, show me what you mean. Said that old lover, that one who know how to smooth talk you. Said, watch it just in case he show up. He said, and those friends who came around when you looked at weak, so they had something to talk about. But he said, where they at when you doing well? He said, you got to know who coming back around. He said, and you watch your patterns. You know the patterns you get comfortable with. He said, because it always cost you when you picked up that bottle, didn't it? He said, you watch your patterns in this season. He said, because right now the enemy getting crafty. He said, the enemy can't create a new trap for you. All he can do is wrap up an old trap in something new and give it to you as it's a new package, a new deliverance. He said, so right now, this is when you got to understand your own discernment. Because he said, right now, the path that you're standing at, it's requiring you to use your wisdom. And if anybody been rocking with me, I told y'all that he first gives you the knowledge. He gives you the knowing of the information that you need to make a decision. And then after he gives you that knowing, he makes sure that you can have some wisdom. What is wisdom? The wisdom is for you to have action to walk it out, a practical action for you to walk it out. He said, first, I give you the knowing of what's going on with you. He said, and as you sit with me and you get my Holy Spirit, he said, then I make sure we come up with a plan so that that wisdom I gave you, you could walk this out. He said, in this season, oh, and I told y'all, he said, in this season, it's on you though. He said, this is the moment where he gets to step back. He said, because he gave you the training. Now he got to see if you could pass your own test. He said, this is your test. He got to sit back. You know, like in the school, you know, when you in school, the teacher got to sit back and let you take your test. He said, you taking your test right now. You taking it. He said, so don't fall for the bait. He said, the rhythm may sound familiar, but it's a trap. He said, the opportunity may look golden, but it's not God ordained. He said, so you got to be able to pay attention to know if I ordained that or not. He said, you know, you fasted and you waited for this moment. Oh, he said, so now speak wisely then. He said, and move boldly. He said, but most of all, make sure you're still listening to him very closely. Oh, he said, because when you're able to listen to him very closely, you will understand exactly why Esther had to move so boldly in order to put this banquet on, to make sure that not only the people that she needed was sitting at the table, but the corruption was sitting right there at the table too. He said, this is emerging. He said, this is when you understand how power shifts. if you sit back and you actually let me show you something. He said, because right now, everything that you're seeing, he said, baby, it's unfolding right in front of your eyes. And what he took me then to was in Esther 8. He said, because if you pass your test, he said, then let me prophesy to you what happens when you pass your test. He said, Esther was given Haman's estate. He said that corruption that was sitting there, that pit that they thought they were throwing you in, he said they didn't even understand that the estate was now handed over to you. Yeah. And just as Mordecai was being promoted, and the fact that Esther was able to speak so eloquently, she was able to ask the king for whatever she wanted. And you got to understand something in Esther. Let me backtrack, because in Esther 7, so the king and Haman went to the queen's Esther's banquet. And as they were drinking wine on the second day, the king again asked, Queen Esther, what is your partition? It will be given to you. What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be granted. God said, when you got locked in with him, he asked you, what did you want? And what is your request? And see, Esther was smart. She told him, first is my life. Then this is set my people free. See, because when you were just trying to enslave us with the mentality, it was one thing. But then when you start trying to kill us, annihilate us, and attack us, and degrade us, it's another thing. So when Esther had to learn that she had to open her mouth, it's because it was so pivotal. She was trying to annihilate. And that's why God says his timing, his wisdom, his discernment is so important. He said, and now you understand when you moved into Esther 8 of her requests, Esther was given Haman's estate because corruption was exposed. Because he asked her, who would do such a thing? The king asked, who would do such a thing? And she said, your trusted advisor, the person that was that close to you, that was disguised as a trusted friend in you, but they end up being the enemy. He said, that's why you got to watch what you let in your garden. And one of the things Esther understood that came out of there, it was a new decree was written in the king's name and sealed with his ring. And he sealed it. It's something I keep telling y'all, that he tells us everything. God said everything that really matters. I tell you, he put rings on it. He said he put rings on it for a reason. It didn't came full circle, baby. So that's when you know it didn't came full circle. The very thing that was meant to kill her and her people was now reversed, sitting at that banquet when they had to come to that banquet. And the law didn't just change. The people were now empowered. When you had to go and sit with Jesus, when you had to get his Holy Spirit, when you had to understand the impartation that was given to you. Said now he empowered you so that you can empower his people. He said, and when you empower his people, it will remind you of what he said in Esther 8:17. In every province and every city, there was joy and gladness amongst the Jews, with feasting and celebrating. He said, when you get to the other side of where he wants you to go, and you are in the right perspective. You made the right decision. You used your wisdom and discernment. He said, on that side, there go your feast. There go all your celebrations. He said, because this is the moment when you have been vindicated, baby. He said, this is where discernment turned to dominion. Oh, he said, this is when I give you dominion because you didn't fall for the bait. Now he's able to trust you with the pen. He's able to trust you with helping direct the path. He said, because he knows if you have to now use your discernment, ooh, he said, baby, it ain't weakness no more. It's just boldness. It's his understanding. It's understanding that you had to die to flesh in order to walk on this narrow path. He said, because one of the things you have to understand, many are called, but only few. Few can only handle this path. Few are chosen. He said, but when I infused you with my power, when I infused you with my love, he said, because your path was not just you choosing it. Rather, it was given to you. And choosing, and you weren't just choosing your position. It was given to you. The moment you gave God your yes. He said, so move in your wisdom now. And he said, like Esther, you have silenced your enemies in this season. He said, and yes, your purpose is protected. He said, so right now, write the new laws for your own legacy. He said, write them and make them plain so he could put a seal on it. He said, because these is critical. These are pivotal moments that we're standing in. And he don't want you to fall for the bait. That's why he tells you to have a vision and make it plain. Said because that's how critical it is. He said, because right now, your boldness is what's going to break the chain. Your timing is what's going to shift your history. And your discernment is what's going to save a nation. He said, so don't forget, take a pause to pray. But then once you do those things, he said, proceed in your purpose. Because this moment, he said, because right now this moment is so holy. He said, and like Esther, you are standing before a decision that will define what happens next. He said, yes, one path looked polished. But like Haman, it has some influences in there. He said, and on the other, it may look humble, like fasting and sackcloth, things you really ain't going to want. But the power is unseen, he said. He said, this is the beauty of it because the power is unseen. And it's going to take for you to have some discernment to know it. So, what look good in this season, he said, what look good in this season ain't always God in it. Oh, he said, so the things that is coming back to you, the things that are trying to get in your way, the things that is trying to distract you, the things that is being sprinkled with the right texture and the right taste of what he know that you like. Said, but I might not be in that. Said, so you better move in your wisdom. Have some discernment with it. He said, because this is when the enemy will show up with those things that look familiar. He said, don't forget those old relationships, them same patterns that you were refusing to break. He said, in the worn out cycles, dressed in new clothes. He said, don't go back to them. Ooh. He said, not in this season. He said, because what you have to understand is Esther did not fall for appearances. Ooh. He said she didn't fall for the appearances. She waited. He said, don't you know when you had to wait and got weighty with it? And he said, Esther, watch. He said, so keep watch. Just like Esther. Because she watched for her moments. But most of all, she understood, ooh, to only move when God gave her the green light. He said, make sure you keep and watch. He said, because the appointed time is about to come where I'm about to give you this green light. And he said, when I give you this green light, mm, he said, you gotta go. He said, and don't fall for the bait. It might sound like comfort. It might look like what you know, but this time is different. He said, this time is different because this is the time your voice matters. He said, this is the time the decision is yours. He said, and this time, destiny is in the room. This is why it's so holy. He said, because your destiny is in this room. When I sit you in this room with the king and your enemy, oh, he said, your destiny is in this room. He said, this is why he tell us to stay locked in. He said, this is why you got to be all the way over here in the spirit. He said, because your appointed time, baby, is right in front of you. That is finna either secure your legacy or it's finna be a moment where you could throw it away. He said, so be careful. This is the moment the enemy gets nervous. He will try to distract you with things that speak to your past, not your future. He said, right now, this is what he's finna throw at you. He wants to shake your confidence before you open your mouth. Oh, he said, but like Esther, you're coming into the kingdom for such a time as this. And he said, and right now, your obedience will be your oil. Your discernment will be your deliverance. And your yes will unlock the protection, the favor, and the purpose assigned to your name. Your yes will. He said, this is what you up against right now. And he said, don't throw it away. He said, and the decision you make next is big. It's bigger than just you. He said, this is how big it is. It's bigger than you right now. He said, so don't fall for this bait. He says, choose destiny over the distraction right now. God right now is not just testing your heart. He is preparing your hands. You're about to hold a seal. Oh, do you understand? He said right now he's finna give you a seal that got a ring on it, baby. It's blinded. It's blinded. He said, but first, you have to pass the table that's in front of you. Oh, said, so be still. He said, be sharp. He said, but most of all, be bold. He said, you're going to have to be bold. Oh, because what's ahead is bigger than just survival. He said, it is time for a reversal of what you've been through. This is the time where it is relief of what's inside of you. It is the time for the rise of the ones who refuse to fall for the bait in this season. He said, if you pass this test, you done paved your way. He said, because every tear, every moment that you had to go without, every moment you had to be betrayed, Said all of this is right now. It's going to be added up. Said count it all joy. Said this is the moment you're going to count it all joy. He said, and right now, he said, baby, you in a pivotal spot. He said, it's so pivotal. He said, don't get distracted. Don't let them knock your confidence. Don't let that voice creep up to tell you you ain't worth it. God said you got to know to bind that devil out. He said, because what he gave you, the confidence he gave you, that boldness he gave you, this training that he gave you, this wisdom that he gave you. He said, baby, you have to go and take your test now. He said, go take your test. Ooh. Said, because you will pass it. He said, but he got to know, he got to trust you. He said, before I can pass you this pen to write this legacy. Ooh. He said, I just got to know if you can pass this test. The test that's going to come to you. Oh, he said, and be careful with this test because the things that's about to come into your presence, he said, it be the things that you want. It's going to sound good. It's going to look good. It's going to be a wonderful offer. He said, but you better have some discernment. He said, because like he told you, they only come around when they think you're weak. When it's an opportune time, because you're in the middle of a decision, when you know that you got two paths ahead of you, he said the enemy get crafty like this. He's going to throw it all at you because you're making him nervous with his elevation. And now he got to send something. He got to send something to knock you off your square. But God said, he done told you, the king and the enemy is going to sit at the table. You about to get some offers. God said the choice is yours in this season, y'all. Again, it is your girl Trisha just checking back in with an evening message. The message is about you keeping your eye on God. This is the season where you are leveling up. This is the season where you have to use your discernment. Ooh. And most of all, baby, pass your test. Yeah. In this season, it's about you passing your test. Oh, so if you know that your test is coming up, he said, go on another fast then. Ooh. He said, this is the season for fasting and praying. Fasting and praying and having some discernment behind it, baby. He said, so if you know this is your moment, he said, go on you a fast. He said, can nobody tell you how long you need to fast? He said, that's between you and him. That's between you and your legacy. That's between you and your blessing. That's between you and your discernment. It's your girl Trisha to checking back in with an evening message. In my famous saying, y'all know it. That's my moment of silence, y'all. It's so pivotal. He said, but if you see your brother or sister crown tipping in this season, he said, baby, help him fix it. He said, you ain't got to tell him you helping him. He said, help him fix it. He said, because right now, it is so pivotal for us to get around this mountain. He said, it's so pivotal for us to get to the other side. Until next time, it's your girl Trisha just checking back in.